Welcome to Mornings with Marcel and Friends on this Tuesday, June the 25th. Two sleeps in until the first presidential debates between Biden and Trump. I will discuss that, and it will coming at you right now. Here we go. Well, good morning, sunshine, and happy Tuesday. Welcome into this installment of Mornings with Marcel and Friends. And I just said it again, two sleeps in until the presidential debates, the first one between current President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump. It will take place on Thursday. The world is definitely watching, and I will discuss that for you coming at you. We also had for you big show for you in the next 30 minutes. I have the latest in the verse of the day. So which was today's verse? That will be also my preamble on the latest between Casey and Caroline as well. Oh, do I mention at the end of Trump spokesperson Caroline Levitt yesterday? Well, I'll have that for you coming at you as well. The fake news CNN, it is. So, the busy show coming for you, so stand by, and let's get right to it for your Monday, or should I say the 5 things for this Tuesday, because I gotta tell you, big debate showdown, or should I say the big day, Trump-Biden, Thursday. You better watch it, or listen to it. It's really important for this country. So, we got ourselves for several veteran contributors were asked to rewatch past Biden-Trump debates for clues to what will happen when the opponents meet again on stage Friday Eve. They did, and offered these predictions about this week's showdown. We also have the latest on extreme weather hitting for most parts of the country from all parts of view, the Supreme Court, Assange, train balloons, and even space race. So, by the way, my podcast, Morning News Headlines, episode 366, is available right now on wherever you get your favorite pods to choose from. So right now, let's go right to it. The news you need to know right from the top to get you up to speed and on with your day. And beginning with extreme weather. As millions of Americans sweltered under record-breaking temps, major flooding from heavy rains in the Midwest has strained a dam to a brink of collapse in Minnesota. The Rapid Dam, located about 70 miles southwest of Minneapolis or St. Paul, is in immediate failure condition yesterday from the Blue Earth County government. An evening update, the county said there are currently no plans for a mass evacuation, while emergency crews actively monitor the situation. Severe flooding already wreaked havoc across the Midwest over the weekend, killing at least one person in South Dakota, and in multiple states, prompting rescue efforts. The Supreme Court is poised to announce blockbuster decisions this week on abortion guns and former President Trump's claims of absolute immunity. He has argued that without immunity, presidents would be hamstrung in office, always fearful of being second-guessed by a C-list prosecutor after leaving the White House. The case of immunity appears likely to come down to whether Trump's actions after the election in 2020 were official, that is, step he was taking as president, or whether they were privates, which would not likely receive immunity. Yesterday, the High Court also agreed to hear the Biden administration's challenge to transgender care ban, delving into the complicating issue of whether states can ban hormone therapy and puberty blockers for minors. This is what the world has seen like this for Julian Assange. And that is what the WikiLeaks founder, it is, agreed to plead guilty to a felony charge related to his alleged role in one of the largest government breaches of classified material as part of a deal with the Justice Department that would allow him to avoid prison time here in the States. Federal officials pursued him after his whistleblowing website published nearly 500,000 secret military documents relating to the U.S. wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. The 52-year-old Australian has spent the past 5 years in a high-security prison in the UK and nearly 7 years before the hold-up at the Canadian Embassy in London. The new plea deal allows Assange to return to Australia as a free man, but not until he has made a court appearance in a remote territory in the Pacific. North Korea sent another wave of balloons purportedly filled with waste and trash into South overnight, reigniting a tit-for-tat exchange as tensions on the Korean peninsula continues to heighten. More than 1,000 such balloons from the north have made it into the South Korean territory since May, according to CNN tally. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has said the balloons were a responsive act to the South's years-long practice of flying leaflets that contain materials critical of his regime. The latest balloon salvo comes intern Korean diplomacy remains at an impasse. Russian President Putin signed a defense agreement with North Korea last week as talks on its denuclearization efforts have stalled, and Kim has vowed to expand his country's nuclear arsenal. And last but not least, China's Chang'e 6 lunar module returned to Earth today, completing his historic mission, that is, to collect the first ever samples from the far side of the moon. The mission is a major step forwards for the country's ambitious space program. Chinese leader Xi Jinping hailed the mission as another landmark achievement in building a strong country in space and science and technology too. China is among several countries, including here in the States, that are wrapping up their lunar exploration programs and Beijing's ambitions to send astronauts to the moon by 2030. As it comes, or should I say the U.S. looks to launch a crew Artemis mission as early as 2026. That will be America's first such attempt at landing on the moon in more than 5 decades, 50 years. Alrighty, that is your breakfast browse. Now, or should I say the 5 things? Now to breakfast browse. Florida Panthers capture their first NHL title in franchise history. Also, the Tennessee Volunteers. J.J. Redick introduces a new Lakers coach. As America's trim spending, these cheap steakhouses are booming. Inside Out 2 fills Disney with joy, even as the culture war critics say, angry. And next year, Freaky Friday 2 will premiere in theaters. That will be in 2025 between Lohan and Lee Curtis. The nostalgia kicking in. 31, that's today's number on how many times the S&P 500 has surpassed its own record since January, a signal that the stock market could have its best election year ever. It's been 333 days since the index recorded a decline of 2% or greater, or even, which is the longest stretch since February 2018, according to analysts at Goldman Sachs. And last but not least, to wrap up today's installment of the 5 things, is today's quote. I really missed the serial instead, but here it is. Surgeon General Dr. Vivek Murthy called for collective commitment to stop gun violence here in the States. A new advisory release today. It's the first time a publication from the Office of the Surgeon General has focused on firearm violence and its profound consequences on survivors, communities, and mental health. The safety and well-being of our children and future generations are at stake. Phew! Can I done the morning? Do I done the 5 things for you? Well, I bet you will. But there's going to be plenty more to come, so you better stay put. I'm going to close out the archive website and straight to me. Thank you for checking the 5 things for you on this Tuesday. Back next Tuesday for more before the 4th of July. And of course, my podcast, Morning News Headlines, is available now where episode 366 is taking place. Changing gears at 10 past the hour, I have the mega tears into after Trump press secretary cut off afraid from Newsweek coming up in the preamble. But first, what is today's verse of the day? It will be. Well, let's find out from our friends at firstoftheday.com.
Verse of the day for June 25th from Matthew 6:25. Jesus taught his disciples saying, "Therefore, I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Is not life more important than food, and the body more important than clothes?" I feel aware. Isn't it amazing how much beauty God gives to us through the flowers and the life he gives to the grass that feeds the world? In the grand scheme of things, these are transitory things, often insignificant. Yet God sent his Son from heaven to save us, so he will most definitely give us what we need until we go home to live with him. So let's look at the beauty in God's world and be reminded that he loves us more than these things and has promised to sustain us and bring us home to him. Let's pray. Loving Father and Almighty God, forgive my distractions over temporal things, especially when they lead me into worry and distrust. I believe that you have given me everything I need in Jesus and in the gracious abundance of your blessings poured into my life. In the precious name of Jesus, I ask for the strength to trust you more and rejoice in the blessings I have received. Amen.
Be right back, folks. All right, I'm back with you, getting you ready for the preamble on what could this happen from yesterday. For those of you who watch Trump's enemy fake news network, like to call the cable news network, otherwise known as CNN, after Trump press secretary Caroline Leavitt has been cut off. The word afraid, that is, and the supporters of Make America Great Again movement had slammed on the fake news network yesterday after an Another Live with Leavitt by CNN anchor Casey Hunt, when the latter began criticizing anchor Jake Tapper, who is one of the 2 moderators chosen for the first live televised presidential debate of the campaign. It will take place 2 straight sleeps in, Thursday. So President Biden asked what to expect ahead of the debate. Well, first of all, it takes someone 5 minutes to Google Tapper Trump to see that Tapper has consistently, in quotes, has stopped Levin and warned, "I am going to stop this interview, and if you continue to attack my colleagues, consider this, I am starting facts that your colleagues has stated in the past." At this point, her cut off and ended the interview. So, let's see what the Casey Hunt's X page is set to taking place. So, and beware, this is very cautious. Whatever it is, what can possibly go wrong for Miss Casey Hunt? Oh, ending the colleagues? Here's what they did. Oh my. This is saying, you come on my show and you will respect my colleagues, period. I don't care what side of the aisle you stand on, as my track record clearly shows. Oh my gosh. This is how what chaos looks like. What she did is damaged, and I mean really damaged, the colleagues there for the fake news network CNN. And the truth is, this is not going to be a very, very good at all for that network. So let's take a listen to the ladies of The View. And it's what Paul Murray said from Sky News, the dumbest show here in our country, on that with the interview.
You know, the first presidential debate of 2024 is airing on CNN on Thursday, but already it's mired in controversy after you-know-who's campaign press secretary was yanked from the network this morning. Take a look.
President Trump is knowingly going into a hostile environment on this very network, on CNN, with debate moderators who have made their opinions about him very well known over the past 8 years and their biased coverage of him.
My colleagues, Jake Tapper and Dana Bash, have acquitted themselves as professionals as they have covered campaigns and interviewed candidates from all sides of the aisle. I'll also say that if you talk to analysts of debates previous, that if you're attacking the moderators, you're usually losing. What do you expect from Joe Biden?
Well, first of all, it takes someone 5 minutes to Google Jake Tapper, Donald Trump, to see that Jake Tapper has consistently frequently likened President Trump to Adolf Hitler.
Ma'am, I'm going to stop this interview if you continue to attack my colleagues. I would like to talk about Joe Biden and Donald Trump, who you work for.
I am stating facts that your colleagues have stated in the past.
Okay,
now,
I'm sorry, guys. We're going to come back out to the panel. Caroline, thank you very much for your time.
So good. So good. In a statement afterwards, this young lady claimed her, quote, on-air snub proves that you-know-who will not be treated fairly in the upcoming debate. Now, do you think this is going to make people doubt whether CNN can stay objective, or is this more the same of, everybody's against me, it's all rigged, I tell you. Is everything rigged?
No, it's their MO. That's what they do. Rachel Maddow said last week, she's like, if the election is lost, it was rigged. If there's a debate, then the moderators are probably biased and they're prejudiced against me. This is how they tee up even things they end up doing well at. They say, I'm going to lose just in case. Like, this is problem just in case. But the second part is being in live TV for so long and working on it, you can't take an interview whichever direction you want. When you have guests on air, and it doesn't always have to be as heated, it could be completely irrelevant, and you'll see producers going, wrap it up. Like, you're here for a topic. She was brought on to discuss debate prep for the presidential debates on Thursday. When you start to veer into other things, anyone's going to get cut off. That's just how it works.
No, and kudos to Casey Hunt, and who's a friend and colleague of Anna and mine at CNN, for getting it back on the rails. But to me, it underscored a stunning lack of message discipline. You are a campaign spokesperson. You should be there to talk about what's Donald Trump's proactive agenda for the American people. How does he want to build the middle class or secure the border? But she can't. It's grievance, it's rage, it's retribution. It's the same thing that he suffers from. And honestly, this may be hard for us to believe. There are undecided voters who watch CNN. These are people who are going to determine this election. You're not winning any of them over by going after one of their most popular anchors repeatedly and not focusing on what matters to the American people. But kind of as Sarah alludes to, I think that they're setting the stage for, if the debate goes poorly, to say it was rigged, these moderators were against us. and frankly to try to get out of the next ABC one, which I think is important that they do. But again, this is a candidate who's on the campaign trail talking about sharks, Hannibal Lecter, boats sinking. Like, there is no message discipline here, as evidenced by his spokesperson.
I always wonder what they give these women who are like spokespeople for him, because like Kellyanne Conway and this woman, they can go for so long without taking a breath. It's rather impressive. They really should be like doing synchronized swimming or something in the Olympics. But the Trump and his minions have had all sorts of messages when it comes to what to expect from Biden. First, they told us he was decrepit. He was not going to be able to stand there for 90 minutes. He was senile. He's lost. He's this, is that. Then they realized, oh, you know, he was jacked up during the State of the Union. Whatever they gave him, I want a drug test. I want him drug tested because he was too jacked up, and that's not normal. Then I heard him say he's a really good debater, Joe Biden. I saw him beat the pants out of Paul Ryan in that debate. They don't know. And now they're saying the debate is rigged and the interviewers are biased. You know what it sounds to me? Sounds like the people who call folks snowflakes are snowflaking. Sounds to me like somebody's running a little scared chicken. Quack, quack.
Yeah.
I can't believe this. They are viewing on social media, and now to say this, ladies and gentlemen, what the possibility going wrong for Caroline Leavitt and Casey Hunt, Casey Hunt, will cut off Trump, Caroline Leavitt. I hope she'll fired. And how about this one from Chris Cuomo? How slam it is. Well, let's listen to Mr. Cuomo on News Nation from last night, or whatever it is, or what the damage that caused on that. He is not happy for the network. And above all, the tensions between him and, or should I say, Casey and Caroline. This is how chaos is. Let's take a listen to News Nation's Hannah Doba, and then News Nation's Tom Dempsey on Morning in America before we're wrapping up our show.
A live look at Atlanta this morning, courtesy of EarthCam, as the sun is coming up. In just 2 days, one of the most important moments of the presidential election will take place. The long-awaited rematch debate between President Biden and Trump on CNN. But now some Trump allies are calling on the former president to drop out of the debate after his campaign spokesperson was cut off and booted from an interview on CNN.
First of all, it takes someone 5 minutes to Google Jake Tapper, Donald Trump, to see that Jake Tapper has consistently
stop this interview if you're going to keep
President
attacking my
Trump to
colleagues.
Adolf Hitler.
Ma'am, I'm going to stop this interview if you continue to attack my colleagues. I would like to talk about Joe Biden and Donald Trump, who you work for.
Yes.
If you are here to speak on his behalf, I am willing to have this conversation.
I am stating facts that your colleagues have stated in the past.
Okay,
now,
I'm sorry, guys. We're going to come back out to the panel. Caroline, thank you very much for your time. You are welcome to come back at any point.
Republicans pointing to this very incident as proof of CNN's anti-Trump bias. News Nation's Tom Dempsey joins us live from Washington, D.C. Good morning, Tom. This has ignited a firestorm on social media.
Yeah, good morning. And a lot of people were talking about that moment on CNN. The spokesperson, Caroline Leavitt, the blonde-haired woman you saw in that video, saying that interview is proof that former President Donald Trump won't receive fair treatment during CNN's debate, even saying it's going to be a 3-on-1 fight. Former President Donald Trump versus President Joe Biden, as well as the two CNN moderators. After that moment occurred on CNN, supporters of the former president came to Leavitt's aid at her side, even bringing up past comments from moderator Jake Tapper, even when he compared the former president to Hitler. Take a listen.
Humanizing rhetoric of Adolf Hitler is once again alive and well on a national political stage. This time, of course, in the United States. This time given life by former president and current Republican presidential frontrunner Donald Trump. I mean, who needs Pravda? You have Donald Trump right there repeating Russian propaganda. He did try to kill democracy once, and he's going to try to do it again.
Now, CNN eventually did release a statement defending Tapper and Bash, calling them well-respected journalists with extensive experience moderating debates, including the Republican presidential primary debate this election cycle. But again, that interview moment definitely caused a lot of chatter online, Henna.
And Tom, you know.
Wow. This is a very shocking for that network, ladies and gentlemen. And what are your thoughts on the runner-up of the fireball between Casey Hunt and Caroline Leavitt? Comment below. Will taking place for you. And darn, this is how chaos feels for that network. And I will read it to you before we're wrapping up. Jake Tapper and Dana Bash are well-respected veteran journalists who have covered politics for more than 5 decades combined. There are no two people better equipped to co-moderate as substantial and fact-biased discussion, according to CNN. And I read it again from Casey Hunt. You come on my show, respect her colleagues, period. She doesn't care what side of the aisle you stand on, as her track record clearly shows. So, what can possibly go wrong? What did she do? Transforming. And unbiased? I think that network is going way too long, and this is going to be a far enough about it for that network. Caroline Leavitt, you should be ashamed of yourself respecting Casey Hunt. This is a lie. And I know what you've been done for that between Jake Tapper, Casey Hunt. You've been way too long. You've been way too long and booted for that network. I'm going to play that for you one more time before we wrap things up here with finance and quote of the day.
First of all, it takes someone 5 minutes to Google Jake Tapper, Donald Trump, to see that Jake Tapper has consistently
stop this interview if you're going to keep
President
attacking my
Trump to
colleagues.
Adolf Hitler.
Ma'am, I'm going to stop this interview if you continue to attack my colleagues. I would like to talk about Joe Biden and Donald Trump, who you work for.
Yes.
If you are here to speak on his behalf, I'm willing to have this conversation.
I am stating facts that your colleagues have stated in the past.
Okay,
now,
I'm sorry, guys. We're going to come back out to the panel. Caroline, thank you very much for your time. You are welcome to come back at any point.
Republicans.
Wow. A firestorm and boom it. Wow. Ms. Leavitt is no longer as a Trump supporter, or a Biden supporter, I think. So once again, it's shocking. The first presidential debates between Biden and Trump will set to take place on Thursday. That will be Friday Eve. Dow is in the green arrows, but NASDAQ and S&P are in the red. The futures are remaining calm, including the Dow is in the red arrows this morning. The opening bell is coming at you in just 1 minute from now. And now, as always, to wrap up today's Mornings with Marcel and Friends, the word of the day. What's today's word of the day that will be? Well, let's find out.
Remuneration.
Remuneration. What does that mean? A formal word that refers to an amount of money paid to someone for a service, loss, or expense, or to the act of paying such an amount. It is synonymous with recompense and pay. For instance, remuneration for the actor was offered a modest speaking fee by the host for her giving her speech at the award ceremony. REMUNERATION. Remuneration is our Mornings with Marcel and Friends word of the day. To all of you, we thank you so much for joining today's program. If you're in the heat wave zone here or in the most parts of the East Coast or in the Midwest covering the rain, stay safe and stay hydrated. It will be crazy summer going on. My podcast, Morning News Headlines, episode 366, is out now. I'm Marcel Mark, your host. Thank you so much for joining me and have a wonderful Tuesday. See you next week before 4th of July.